Well, our favorite lyrical poet did it again. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb, and with me is Barrett McNabb.
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly. So Oliver Anthony, again, as Kimberly said, released this song right before the election. And I do want to warn people that there is a little bit of spicy language in there. We're not going to bleep out anything. We're going to leave the lyrics as they are. But we just wanted to let you know this is, I think, the first time that we've seen Oliver Anthony drop any F-bombs in any of his music. But let's go ahead without further ado and listen to this.
I'm recording this on my cell phone, like back in the good old days. It's November the 4th, at around 6:30 in the evening. And I don't know what the outcome will be tomorrow, but I wrote this song called It's About Time. Dread tomorrow. But every day I dwell on the past. Am I going fucking crazy, or is everyone else? I swear I'm losing my mind. Oh God, well it's been a long time coming.
Well, he's back. I mean, he's never really left us. He's been touring, but he's back with some interesting lyrics. And again, there's that F-bomb and the spicy language that he's going on. Obviously, we're stopping this so to give commentary, but also so that we don't get a copyright strike on his music, and we want to make sure that we share that with you. But Kimberly, here he is. He's kind of predicated this, that he's doing it before the election. What do you see just from this first opening stanza of what he's going on in his mind?
Well, he doesn't say, does he hope Kamala Harris wins or Trump wins?
Nope.
He's never flat out said his political leanings, even though he represents, working class, or at least that's what his fans say. And, so you hear the lyric, like, it's been a long time coming. Like, what's been a long time coming? A female president? Or he says, am I losing my mind? Are you losing your mind because, the media left and right and, Trump's Hitler, Trump's a fascist? Or are you going crazy because of the cultural, paths,
Right.
the way the culture is going, like men and female sports and, using pronouns and, the blue hair crazy libs are they driving you crazy? These Marxist ideologies being taught in schools, and I think he has kids. What is it that's driving you crazy? Or is it the economy, like you can't buy anything? Is that driving you crazy? So it never says what it is, but I think
I'd say it's all the above.
Yes, and that's why so many people resonate with, his music resonates with everybody. It doesn't matter what your priorities are.
Right.
So,
well,
he's kind of feeling what everyone else is feeling.
You could easily be overwhelmed with all of those topics that you have going on. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be a right or a left issue. Like you said, the economy, education, things like that. But he's got some deeper lyrics coming up. So let's continue.
I can feel this shift in my bones. I'm just a product of a simpler time. You should have just as soon been left alone. Lord, please don't forget me. I see you on the other side. It's been a long but it's about time.
Well, I mean, we're already starting, to get into some of the lyrics that we're talking about. That this is, it's all overwhelming. I mean, he's a product of a simpler time. And I see that as, before all of the in-your-face social media, before all the, he probably got a bazillion text messages like we did during the election season. So, getting a political text message every 13 seconds or so, it just, I just wanted the election to be over just to stop the text messages from coming in. I think you're still getting some.
I'm still getting them, not as much maybe.
The election's over, guys.
Maybe a quarter. I don't know. I'm like, just leave me alone.
Well,
leave me alone.
Mine went away, but still, with him saying, it's, he can feel the shifting of politics in his bones. He can feel the shifting of culture in his bones.
World.
Yeah,
I've heard a number of commentators say, before the election, like, you feel like it's a spiritual warfare, which sounded hyperbolic, 2 years ago and further back, anytime I would hear that. But I'm like, yeah, you feel bombarded on all sides. Like, no ground is sacred. The schools aren't sacred. The churches are not sacred. I mean, you have some churches that are teaching flat out CRT and making white people apologize to black people. Like, that's how bad it is getting. So yeah, you just feel assaulted on all fronts. And he's like, I'm a product of a simpler time. Like, keep church, keep schools, keep it simple. Leave me alone. He even says, like, I may as well have been left alone. Like, yeah, so that's what most people want, is just to be left alone. And you feel attacked on all sides. Like, geez, now I have to get up and fight.
Right, exactly. All right, let's keep going.
Six strings and a cell phone, and a young man running far from home. I left all I loved with what little I own, in the left-hand lane of my leaving home. I had some dreams that I slowly let die. Every third shift punch down in North Carolina. My mama would ask me how I'm doing. I told her doing just fine. And then I'd hang up the phone and I'd break down crying.
Wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. You had some dreams, you had to just kind of forget about them just so you can struggle to survive. I mean, if you're working third shift, what that means is you're working in the middle of night.
Right, from like 10 to 6 a.m.?
Yeah, around there, for people who aren't familiar with shift work. Yeah, you're struggling to survive, and so things you wanted to do had to get left behind. And when you talk to your mom, I mean, sometimes you want to tell her every little detail, but sometimes life is just so overwhelming you can't even put into words what's going on, and so you just say, I'm fine.
Right.
And you're so overwhelmed, you just cry, but you can't put it into words. Like, I can't articulate what's going on. Right.
Yeah, sometimes you get overwhelmed. Now, he's got a couple of songs specifically that talk about him wishing to be able to go back and not necessarily change his childhood, but give his past self a heads up of what was coming down the road. And I kind of see, some of this, that he dwells on the past. I mean, obviously, he had addiction issues, and he's very upfront with it. And he's taking care of himself, and he's found God, and he has his family, and he has his dogs, although dogs aren't in this video.
Oh, yep. We found a video without the dogs.
I know, we did. I really do like the fact that he's going back to his roots, and he even said that at the beginning, that he's filming this, with his cell phone and a guitar, and he's just doing it by himself. Mm-hmm. But, with him, talking about being able to talk to his mother and not be able to share everything. I mean, there's still parts of him that he's keeping to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
We're sick, strange, and a cell phone. And a young man running far from home. Well, they took down the statue of Robert E. Lee, but not the drugs and the thugs and the crime in the street. And there's 5,000 children with nothing to eat in the street sweeper slinging needles right up to your feet.
So this is kind of important. He's talking about that priorities. Right. He's talking about priorities. So you have the BLM movement and the erasing of American history and the tearing down of Confederate statues and things like that. But everybody was so concerned about the statues that there's still crime, there's still drugs, there's still children that are hungry. I think in West Virginia and Virginia there's 11% of people experience food insecurity, and so that's like 1 out of every 7 children are hungry, and so that's where you get this 5,000 starving children number.
Well, I think a lot of this election was, the elite versus the working class. You have these elitists up in these ivory towers. They're just so bored. They're making up problems and really, fermenting on the racial issues and just judging past through this lens of like, well, now we know better not to have slaves. Let's tear down George Washington statues and Robert E. Lee statues and all this. When they're real life problems that face everyday Americans in your face, and you're just sweeping those problems under the rug like, no, the economy's great even though everything's so expensive, it's just gaslighting you. Well, of course it doesn't affect you up in your ivory tower that you're so preoccupied with these problems that aren't really problems. Meanwhile, even you can easily walk down to the store and encounter a crime or, get robbed or, have to brush past all these needles on the street or whatever. And it's just the elitists ignoring the problems of everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, with politicians spending time on tearing down statues,
that cost taxpayer money.
That cost taxpayer money, and you're actually sitting down and debating them and taking votes and stuff like that. When there are people suffering, I mean, my mother always said, do the things you have to do before you do the things you want to do. And I'd have to say, tearing down the Confederate statues it shouldn't be done. It's American history, just erasing our history. But it's a nice to have. As far as if anything,
it's like, let's clean up the needles and the crime first, and then maybe we'll spend some taxpayer dollars on what you want to do. Right,
and he actually has started a charity and a fund for children with food insecurity. So good on him that he's bringing this to the forefront. Let's keep going.
Well, it's been a long I'm just the product of a simpler time. You should have just assumed and left alone. Lord, please don't forget me. I see you on the other side. It's been a long time coming, but it's about time.
Wow.
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, you could leave it up to interpretation, feel a shift in my bones. It's been a long time coming, but that could also mean, like, let's go back a little bit. But I think he, like many of us, felt that the election could indicate a shift in the direction that America's going to go. Are we going to keep going down the crazy train?
Right.
Or are we going to halt and maybe say, maybe we need to be more products of a simpler time?
Yeah, slow down. It's almost like children trying to grow up as quickly as they can. Slow down.
It's like, well, when I drive, blah, blah, I'm like, how about you put on your shoes without me telling you to
right.
first? Let's do that first.
Right. But, with him, obviously, again, this was released the day before the election. And so, you heard him say, hey, look, I don't know what the results are going to be.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. See you on the other side. And we have this ballot, this song, and it's about priorities. And maybe a lot of his music talks about the past, but also it's, hey, look, this is what the future could be as well, and you have an opportunity to change it. He's corrected mistakes that he's had in the past, and he's kind of looking forward. And so I think if you looked at this and you said, what are the priorities that our government should have, and he's saying, don't concentrate on the small stuff, get the stuff that has to be done first. Instead of looking.
If we're really a democracy, how about what the largest number of people want?
Exactly.
Safe streets.
Well, we wanted to bring this song to you. We thought it was really powerful, especially the way he filmed it. Just in his in a room with just his phone, and it's as soulful as ever. So we wanted to share this with you. So thank you so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
Well, the Democrats took a resounding thumping in this last election, but what are they thinking of next? To me, it sounds a little bit like treason. Let's talk about it on the Azimuth Podcast. My name is Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb. So let's go ahead and watch this video clip of the Democrats scheming.
There's one more idea, a shadow government, similar to the UK, a group of lawmakers that mirrors the cabinet and publicly challenges them. Say Senator-elect Adam Schiff as Shadow Attorney General, Congressman Gregory Meeks, Secretary of State, or Colorado Senator Michael Bennet as Treasury Secretary. Well, that idea isn't just coming from a strategist, but a lawmaker. And joining me now, the man behind this idea, Congressman Wiley Nickels, a Democrat from North Carolina. No dream music needed. You're in person with us. Congressman, why do you think this is the way to possibly challenge this administration?
First of all, this is something we can do. This is something that definitely can happen. And they've been doing it for over 100 years in the UK. Mm-hmm. So this is an idea that his time has come. And if we do the exact same thing against Trump, we're going to get the same results. We have to step up our game. We have to go toe-to-toe with Trump. And it's not just about saying, what we're against. It's about saying what we're for and putting our best messengers out there to go toe-to-toe. They put Elise Stefanik at the UN. We should have someone going one-on-one with her, talking about, what we would do better and why the choices they make are wrong.
So what would this look like? It would be somebody who acts as if it was a State of the Union, a response they would give every time there is a major speech or press conference, or they'd have their own issue or white papers? What would this look like in practice?
First and foremost, it's about accountability. It's about keeping, public pressure on every member of the cabinet. When they step out of line, you got someone, who is there, ready to call them out. That's something we don't have. You've got an issue with the EPA. You've got the spokesman taking a counterpoint right away on your show. That's the point of it. Something where leadership, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer, they could appoint folks, and we've got a ready match to go toe to toe. And it's worked well in the UK.
There are some who would look at this and criticize it and suggest that you'd be delegitimizing this administration, not simply giving an alternative accountability vehicle. What do you say to those who'd question this as a ploy to try to undermine a decisive victory?
I think it's about making sure that they're accountable. That's the whole point of it. And, like anything, you start it from scratch. You get to do it our own way, our own American way. They've certainly they've done it for a while again in the UK. But, what I want to do is I want an answer. I want a message on our issues. I want to talk about the stuff that we want to do. So in the next election, we say, okay, Trump is deporting, families. This is the policy we would put in place. And that's what you get with the shadow cabinet.
All right, this is absolutely absurd.
First of all, we're not the fucking UK.
Right. We
I
fought
don't
a
want
war.
to be the UK.
We fought a war to break away from them. It's called the Revolutionary War.
And second, what mother names their son Wiley? I mean, he's scheming here. So, okay, this is the Wiley Coyote of our day.
Right.
And then we already know what you guys want. The Democrats have been in charge 12 out of the last 16 years. We're well aware of it. Like 70, 80% of the American populace thinks that America is on the wrong track.
Right.
Again, 12 out of 16 years. There's nothing positive about it. It's not American. It's Marxist.
Well, one of the things that I have issue with is he says that we want to hold the Republicans accountable.
Trump's not afraid to fire people.
Yeah, exactly. But still, they're saying, look, we need accountability. Well, the problem is the Republicans are not accountable to you. And the Democrats are not
accountable to American people.
They're accountable to the voters. That's exactly right. And so it's not your job to hold the administration accountable. It's the American people's job to hold them accountable. And what they've done is they've held the Democrat Party accountable for the disasters that have been over the 12 of the past 16 years. And they have resoundingly rejected the liberal ideologies, and they have gone over to the conservatives, and they have given the Republicans control of the House and the Senate, the presidency, and a conservative Supreme Court, all three branches of government. That is accountability in action.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same party that's like, oh, Trump's a threat to our democracy, threat to our democracy. You're undermining our, quote, democracy when you're trying to undermine the government that was elected by the people.
Right. So I mean, so let's just see how this works. I mean, she threw out.
I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah. She was talking about Adam Schiff being Secretary of State and stuff like that. So that's what would happen is because right now I guess it's a free for all, right? So anybody does anything on one side, the other side just sends out mean tweets and that goes on CNN and talks about it, and they have a big giant gambit of things that they talk about. What I'm guessing what he's trying to do is to have, with specificity, an assigned shadow secretary or shadow ambassador that is not only doing their normal job, because Adam Schiff just got elected to the Senate from California, so he would not be stepping down to do this pretend job, but they would do the normal job. But then I guess they would have with specificity talking points of just this individual
instead of like everybody in the government, like social media stock, maybe get some resources on the inside.
Because I can't imagine, as Stefanik walks into the UN to be the UN ambassador, that the door is being held open for some random person to be going with her that's from the Democrat side to sit down next to her, and Stefanik says something and then the Democrat says, oh wait, we don't agree with that. I mean, that is literally interfering with the conduct of business of the government.
Right. I like to, when things like this are talked about, I want people to keep in mind, like, what if it were done to you? The Democratic Party just doesn't seem to stop and think, what if the tables are turned, like, oh, you wanted to get rid of the filibuster? Well, they, never stop to think, well, what if the Republicans are in charge? Would we want the same thing done to us? So, okay, Democrats, when you get back in charge, do you want the Republicans to do the same thing to you? They never stop to think about that.
Well, yeah, I would love somebody to ask AOC and say, you know what? You were right. And you were absolutely right. We need to get rid of the filibuster right now, and we need to pack the Supreme Court. Do you think she would go along with that now? Because it's a Republican-controlled Senate. So, are you sure you want to eliminate the filibuster? Are you sure you want to pack the Supreme Court? Because Republicans can do that, I guess, since it's your idea and you say it's a great idea. They're just trying to do what you want, right? But I would have a feeling that she would be in opposition now to doing all of those things that she said. But, one of the, things that I could just see is, again, it's not going to be some random childless cat lady that's on social media, it's on Facebook, that's going to, listen to potentially Secretary of State Rubio and interacting with China over the Taiwan.
Yeah, it would be someone who's been in a similar position.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like Rubio says something and she gets on her Facebook group and says, I can't believe that he should have said this. This is the way the policy. No, that person doesn't matter. Sorry, you don't matter. You're not in a position of power. You're just behind a keyboard. But let's just say that it's somebody powerful like Schiff, Senator-elect Schiff,
who works for him,
or some. Well, specifically though, the danger would be for a high-ranking politician to provide criticism, because then there's not a unity of effort as you're interacting with your adversaries, right? And so it's, which message is China going to listen to? Are they going to listen to the electorate? Are they going to listen to the shadow cabinet? Because these people are going to be talking as if they were a legitimate organization or a legitimate branch of the government. And of course they're not, but it would cause confusion when you have different messaging. That's why there's only one press secretary in the White House that's giving messaging, and there's not a shadow press secretary that's giving alternate messaging.
Well, I mean, also, they don't even need to do this. I mean, you just watch whatever the Republicans are doing, assume that the Democrats would do the exact opposite. And I'm here to tell you, if you want good policy, which I'm assuming they don't, they just want to fight, doing the opposite of what your enemy's doing is not always a winning strategy. It's very reminiscent of what a toddler does.
Right.
It's not always effective. And that's why there's a saying called give credit where credit's due. If someone does something good or says something good or, has a policy that's good, Democrats just seem to be incapable of saying, you know what, that actually works.
Right. Well, I mean, you do have centrist Democrats and centrist Republicans that can find compromise.
I don't think any of those are.
No, I mean, this is not. So let's just whenever the president of the United States has a State of the Union address, it doesn't matter what side. There's always a rebuttal. There's always a rebuttal that's done, and it's on a rotating on the by and by. It's typically some people who have been identified as potential rising stars in whatever party they're in, so they can kind of get them some national face time. But imagine, and it rotates out, but imagine the President of the United States, in this instance, it would be Trump, giving a State of the Union address. And then the rebuttal is not just, a person that's it's now the rebuttal is the president of the shadow government is going to be the rebuttal person, because there's going to be somebody that's assigned to be the president of the shadow cabinet. And so now it's, instead of Senator blah, 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 it's now we're going to have the rebuttal from the shadow government president of the United States of America. Imagine how that would look to all of our foreign adversaries.
Yes, well,
and how much confusion that would sow.
Well, further proving that the Democratic Party is becoming more and more Marxist, because that's all Marxists want to do is divide people up, cause confusion and chaos.
Right. I mean, this just, I cannot. I mean, this is treasonous. This is borderline treasonous to me.
Well, also, he forgets or seems to be ignorant of the fact that the left owns so much of the public sphere as it is. You have big tech, you have most of the media outlets, CNN, Washington Post, MSNBC, New York Times, so many outlets. And then Big Pharma, they own so much space as it is.
Right. Celebrity endorsements as well.
Celebrity endorsements.
Right.
So they already have a shadow government. So many other entities that they control that influence America.
And, let's put aside the Electoral College and let's talk about the popular vote. Resoundingly, the American people do not agree with your policies, Democrats. They don't. They voted to not have that. And to your point, you said that their messaging during the entire campaign was Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. Never mind that there was not an open primary. Everything was squashed in favor of President Biden. And then when he backed out of the race and he coronated Harris, there was not an open primary for that either. And so, that's a destruction of democracy. You have all of the lawfare that was just levied against Donald Trump as soon as he said that he was running for re-election. Man, those things just came, and it was clearly a mistake. People saw through that. And I think people just were like, "This is so much. It's got to be what Donald Trump says is this lawfare," and people rejected you for it. So why would you think it'd be a good idea to have a shadow government?
Yeah, to be a threat against democracy, against the will of people.
Yeah.
Again, and I hope the next time this guy's up for election, the will of the people say, you know what? This is democracy. Vote you out.
Absolutely. So we saw this. We thought it was absurd, and we wanted to bring it to you during Thanksgiving week just so you could have a chuckle at your dinner table. So thanks for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
So the Babylon Bee's Satan is back, and he's licking his wounds after his surrogate, Harris, lost the election. Let's go ahead and listen to this on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb. So we had a reaction video to the first Satan, and it was all of the different groups that were in the Democrat Party, and it was absolutely hysterical.
It's one of my favorites.
We'll put a link up here. It was really good. People are still watching that, to this day. It's one of those, I guess they call them evergreen videos, but people are still watching that on our channel, our reaction to that. So I'd advise you definitely go check it out. But everybody needs a little something that's funny during the Thanksgiving holidays and everything. So please enjoy this as we react to it, and you'll be able to create some buzz.
And as you bring up politics into the Thanksgiving conversation.
Absolutely. Let's check this out.
Oh, that's good. That's
Bud Light.
nectar of the demons. Well, no beating around the bush, okay? We lost the 2024 election, but it's been one heaven of a week. Okay, I just want to say up front that I'm super proud of our team. I mean, the lies, chaos. The hysterical push to trans everyone's kids and put tampons in the boys' bathroom. We did our best. And unfortunately, God and the Republicans just played a better game out there. So let's take some questions.
What do you think went wrong there? It seemed like Harris and Walz were the perfect candidate.
Honestly, I could have run a drug parakeet, and it wouldn't have made a difference. My Democrat followers will vote for anyone who promises them the right to kill their kids. So the good guys they just wanted it more, I guess. You know, the match was just kind of unfair. Okay, it was a little uneven. I mean, it's not on their side. They have the truth, the Constitution, they have prayer, and they have Zachary Levi. You know, the guy from Tangled. And at last,
Shazam.
I've seen the light. Anyway, I know that we on our side have a lot of talent. Okay, we've got MSNBC, Joy Behar, Rachel Maddow, CNN, crying Jimmy Kimmel. And all those demon-possessed kids on the they-thems that are screaming on TikTok right now. It's, you know, great prospects. A lot of upside coming up through the farm leagues, you know. So.
What are the plans for the Hell franchise moving forward?
Bright future. We'll keep trying to convince everyone that Trump's Hitler. You know, actually, this is kind of funny. We got Hitler in a special torture chamber right over there, and he hates it when we compare him to Trump. It's funny. He's like, I'm the most evil. I'm the Führer. He's just an orange reality star. It's classic. It's classic. One of the few points of joy in my life right now.
So we're gonna just.
I love impersonation.
Yeah, we're gonna pause it here just a little bit, just so that we don't get a copyright strike. But still, you know, this guy is hysterical. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he's hitting that right on the head. I could have run a drugged parakeet for this election. You know,
It basically did.
Yeah, it basically did. But still, you know, he's talking about all the lib kids on TikTok that are just rage quitting life right now.
Women shaving their heads, looking like Nazis.
Right. You know, the 4B movement of no sex, you know, no birth, no marriage, no dating.
Of course, all the real men are like, "Don't throw me in the briar patch."
Yeah, exactly. We'll put a link to a video that we did, you know, on the 4B movement right here. But still, you know, this guy is absolutely hysterical. He's spot on what he's talking about, and it gets better. It does get better.
Anyway, we'll probably just try to keep throwing Trump in jail and stuff and do a few more assassination attempts. Run a last-ditch Hail Mary, pick six, if you know what I mean.
So
that's a reference to...
Yeah, so Tim Walz and AOC did a live stream with the two of them playing Madden football video game. And
do people still play that? Madden, that's an old video game.
Well, I mean, they release a new one every year.
Still?
Yeah, every year. Every year. It's one of the biggest selling EA Sports franchises. So every year it gets an upgrade. But still, they were live streaming that, and you know, Tim Walz was a former assistant football coach. Right, and so you know, he was talking about that AOC runs a mean pick six, and just he got lambasted in social media because you can't plan and run a pick six. It happens.
I had to ask what that meant.
Well, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
4 quarters in a game.
But still, you know, you can't say, well, go out there and run a pick six. You know, it happens if it happens. But still, you know, that's what he's talking about there, and it was hysterical that he got that.
Not only does he not know anything about football, apparently, but also I heard the video controller wasn't even on. So no wonder she seemed good. You got to turn the thing on.
Well, there you go. That's what happens when you
and no one still scored any points
when you fake the funk on that. So okay, let's keep going.
What's the game plan for converting Republicans to your cause?
Well, actually, you know what? We did make some good headway in this arena. We got David French to do that whole evangelicals for Harris thing. So it's funny. It's really hard to say that with a straight face. So getting Christians to vote for a woman who supports baby murder is just like... we have, let's see, we have Liz Cheney.
A lot just stayed home.
I love her. Anyone that's a friend of war is a friend of mine. We'll just keep pushing the woke agenda to the schools to try to brainwash Republicans' kids on TikTok. You know, it's kind of like, we're coming for your children. But for real, we are actually coming for your children.
Any other upcoming plans you can tease?
Well, I mean, actually, in the next 4 years, it's obviously going to be a rebuilding year. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that we're not going to compete and do a quality product and put it out there on the field every single day. See, we just released another season of Rings of Power. Oh, that's great. So we're putting pronouns everywhere. That's great. Dungeons and Dragons, board games, LinkedIn, which we also created. We got some more Blippy coming out. Nothing woke there, just pain and suffering.
Oh, I didn't
We're
know
working
they
on
came after
reducing
Blippy.
legroom and airplanes. Gosh, excited for that. Well, that's it for now. I got a meeting coming up here about Bitcoin. No idea how it works. So, yeah, you guys got to get out of here. Hey, Wormwood, we got that meeting for the Bitcoin thing. We got to clear the room. Can you just release the shark bears, please? Toodles.
And it keeps going after this. We're going to keep going.
Even though we lost, I still got to thank everyone who did their best to advance my agenda. Beyonce, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's cats. All cats, really.
He said it.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Part of his army.
Bruce Springsteen. Obama's. Eminem. Everyone at Planned Parenthood. And, Krasenstein's.
That was absolutely hysterical. I mean, it's always good to see Babylon B. Satan come back and land blast the Democrats. But, the last portion of that was truly making fun of all of the celebrities that were paid, all the paid celebrities that endorsed Kamala Harris. Oprah Winfrey, got paid $1 million. Now she says I didn't get paid anything for that.
Studio,
but the production company Harpo Productions got paid $1 million. So that's splitting some hairs.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't accept the check, but your production company that you own did, that still went into your coffers.
Well, if you could have a real conference interview with Satan and ask what his plans are, he's not going to tell you because Satan is, way too crafty. I mean, come on. Could you have predicted the last year or two?
No.
A couple years ago? Absolutely not. None of this stuff was anywhere on my bingo card. And, there's a reason why there's a saying, be as wise as a serpent, but innocent as a dove, I believe it goes.
Okay.
And Matthew 10:16 has, in sending out the 12, Jesus said to them, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. That's the saying.
Okay.
So, yep. I mean, if we want to fight back, we got to be smart, but, righteous at the same time.
Yeah. We had a video that we did talking about right-leaning comedy. And we'll put a link to that. That's 3 videos that I'm pointing to. But we did a video on is the right getting the last laugh? For years and years and years, comedy was supposed to be kind of neutral. Everybody's making fun of each other, but then the left-leaning comics just seemed to take over. And you have all of these legacy media stand-up comics, Jimmy Kimmel, etc. And they are focused on just making fun of Republicans, focused just on left-leaning issues. But they all got beat out by Greg Gutfeld. And, he's a right-wing comedian. And the Babylon Bee being a satirical site who just comes up with so many different things throughout the day, memes and things like that. They are absolutely hysterical. I'd love to work there.
Yeah.
I would love to work there.
It's because we think the PC, speech is stupid, and you keep limiting more and more what you can say. Eventually, you get the whole South Park Christmas thing where everybody's offended by everything, and so you just get these people in gray leotard suits singing this wonky music. It sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher talking, and people are like, what the crap is this? Well, you were offended by the Christmas tree. You were offended by Santa. You were offended by Jesus. You were offended by having, bells mentioned in a Christmas song. And
Offended
so
by
just
being
cut out
offended.
so much, there's nothing left.
Right.
And then when you act so absurd, like men dressing up as women, you gotta poke out the absurdity, point it out.
Right. It's got to be called out. But anyway, a lot of this was subtle, and we stopped the pick six, and so hopefully you caught that part. But a lot of it was subtle, but still, getting in on the cats with JD.
They're part of my
Vance.
army, and I'm like,
Part
I
of
knew
my-
it, I knew it.
So I mean, there is a lot of subtle things. Obviously, it's just him. You may have some people asking questions and everything. The first Babylon Bee Satan, you had the different identity politic groups, and there was some interaction. But this was definitely more subtle. But we saw it. We thought it was hysterical. Show it to your friends. Talk about it at Thanksgiving, and
Make some libs mad.
Make some libs mad. So anyway, have a wonderful Thanksgiving week, and thank you for tuning into Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.